Welcome to the lecture series of Basic Electrical Engineering. Now we are going to see the module 4, that is Electrical Utilities and Production. In that, the topic we are going to cover is productive devices or production, that is fuse and MCB are the productive devices, and electric shock and its prevention. It's quite an interesting topic and quite easy topic. This we might have came through in a smaller classes also. The fuse is a productive device. So it was patented by Thomas Alva Edison in 1890. Fuse is the simplest and cheapest device used for interrupting the electrical circuit under short circuit or excessive current conditions. That is, whenever the current flow is high, we want to interrupt the circuit to save the devices or the equipments which is connected to it. For that, we are using the fuse. Fuse is nothing but a piece of metal. So fuse element is generally on the materials having low melting point, high conductivity, and least deterioration due to oxidation. Example, silver, copper, tin, etc. we will use for the fuse element. So what is the fuse and what are the terms related to it? So fuse, it is a protective device, a small piece of metal which is connected in series with the circuit. When the current flow through it increases beyond some predetermined value, the metal melt to interrupt the circuit, which protect the circuit from excessive high current. So it is just a metal piece which is connected to the terminals in series, maybe input and output. If some cases, if the current is very high, so what will happen? The predetermined value, and that is the value. If that value more than that, the current is flowing, the metal will melt, and it interrupts the circuit and protects the circuit from the such high currents. Next definition is fuse element. The fuse element is a part of fuse which melt when there is excessive current. So this is very important. The fuse element is very important. And what is rated current or a nominal current? It is the maximum current that fuse element can withstand with any undue overheating or melting of the fuse. So this is the maximum value of the current up to which it can able to withstand is known as the rated current. Fusing current is nothing but the value of the current which required to melt the fuse element. So it is always greater than this rated current. So these are all the definition we have to remember. So how the fuse will be looking like. So these type of fuses are known as the Gattridge fuses. So I think you might have seen this in your electronic components. You might have seen this is the KitKat fuse. I think this may be used in the wiring purpose, that is in your home in the main DB and ironclad switches also. This uses these type of fuses. So how it will be? It is a semi-enclosed rewirable fuses. So here it will be the base. Here it will be the bridge. So in this base you are going to fix it. I think this type of structure you might have seen in your basic electrical engineering lab and also in your home. So you have to put a fuse element here. So this is the conductors. So this is the input, this may be the output. Here we'll be giving the input current and we'll be taking the output current in this. So this will be taking the path over it and it will make a conduction in this way. So for this purpose we are using it. Here it will be made up of porcelain. It will be highly glazed. So here it may be tin to copper will be the material, and here also this engaging element will be also there. So here you can see. So it has a base and the fuse carrier. The base is made up of porcelain and carries the fixed contact. These two are the fixed contacts which are connected to the incoming and outgoing lines. Here you can see you will connect the incoming line and here you will take the outgoing line. The fuse carrier is also made up of porcelain and holds the fuse element. That is, this tinned copper wire between these two will be carried on it. And the carrier will be inserted in or taken out of the base when desired. So we want to connect the fuse, we will put it inside, otherwise we will remove it out. When the fault occurs, the fuse element is blown out. Here you can see this connection will break so that the circuit is interrupted, because here it is the input, here it is the output. And the fuse carrier is taken out and the blown fuse element or rewired. We can remove this wire and once again it can be rewired and you can use it to restore the supply. This is the common thing which may be used in the house or some industries also. But the previous step what we have seen is the cartridge fuse. There is a use and throw. Once this is broken, this fuse element is broke or melted, we can't use it. We have to throw it and we have to take the new one. So how it is working, you can see this animated video. Here you can see this is the input and this is the output. If the excessive current goes inside, it waits for some time and it melts down. So just we can take it out and throw it out. What is happening inside? Here you can see, so this is the contact point. It starts to deteriorate when the temperature increases. These are all the insulating containers. So this is the outside enclosures. So this is the sealant. Here you can see the sealant. Here the current is going inside. When the temperature increases beyond the specific limit, for example 10 amps, some temperature will be there above the 10 amps, what will happen here, it starts to deteriorate and it start to melt and it start to open. So this is the real-time view of it and this is the animated view of it. So you can see the fuses melting over it and the circuit is disconnected from the input. So this is how the fuse will be working. What is the advantage of fuse? Fuse is the cheapest type of protection used in the electrical circuit. It is quite simple. I think we might have seen the operation. There is no complexity involved in it. The operation time of fuse can be made much smaller than the operation of the circuit breaker. So it is a primary protection which can be used against the short circuit. It doesn't require any maintenance. Inverse time characteristics will be used for its overload protection, but it has a drawback. So every time it has to be replaced when the fault is occurred in case of a rewiring. In case of a rewirable fuse, otherwise we have to throw it and we have to add one more. And consider time is lost in rewiring. This factor come into picture when we are using in the industry. Fuse goes off due to overload. We have to switch off the machinery and we have to change the fuse wire, and once again we have to run it. So downtime is will be more in industry, and it is not possible to provide secondary protection for fuse. Fuse provides only one protection. If any failure occurs in the fuse, there is no secondary protection. So this is the one more drawback of the fuse. To modify it, we have came to one more device that is known as the miniature circuit breaker. So here itself it is known as the circuit breaker. So breaking the circuit, which is a little bit compact, so it is known as the miniature circuit breaker. So it also developed by Alva Edison. Just give an idea where Woods improved its design to automatic circuit breaker, and Cutter manufacturing company manufactured its first circuit breaker in Philadelphia in 1904. So the circuit breaker actually does two functions. That is, one is the switching function, other one is the protection functions. What is meant by switching function? One is on, other one is the off. Protection function is protection against overload, protection against short circuit. So what is meant by overload? For example, uh, if a circuit is capable for carrying 5 amps, so you are giving 6 amps for particular amount of time. For example, 5 to 5 seconds it can withstand, but you are giving for 6 seconds, so it is actually a overload. So at the time it should get disconnected. So that is the first production function done by the miniature circuit breaker. This also can be done in the fuses also. Short circuit protection, for example, dead short circuit, just phase and neutral is short circuit, means immediately it should, because more amount of current will flow, so immediately it should operate. So that also it's provided by the MCB. So this is the MCB structure. So this is the knob, here this is the coil, here you can see the latch, and this is the incoming terminal. We will be connecting here. This is the outgoing terminal, and here this is the contact point, and bimetallic strip will be here. This is suitable for the overload protection. This magnet is suitable for the short circuit protection. Here you can see the cam operated plunger in it, and here also you can see the fixed contact and movable contact, and this is the DIN rail where we'll be fixing the MCB. This is the thermal unit where I told bimetallic strip will be there. Bimetallic is nothing but two metal joined and rolled and welded together, which has a different melting points. So if the temperature difference is more, it will melt and open the circuit. So this is responsible for overload production. Next one is the magnetic circuit. It is immediately will get magnetized, so it will open the circuit, is responsible for short circuit. When the short circuit occurs, immediately this becomes as a magnet and pulls the moving contact. So here you can see the arc shoot. While opening the circuit, you can see the sparks. So I think while switching on or switching off the normal lamp only, you can see the spark or the arc. To reduce that arc length, this arc shoot is required. And this is the knob which is responsible for operating it. The switching point, that is the on and off control, which can be done by us. This is the incoming and outgoing terminal. These are all the terminals. And inside the magnetic circuit, there is nothing but iron plunger. Inside of it will be having a magnet with operated with spring. It has a fixed contact and moving contact. So this is just a coil. And here you can see the on and off position. So you can see the on position and off position. So here, if the knob position is on the top, that is on the contact. Here you can see it is open. Sorry, it is closed here, so power supply will be moving in this direction. If it is in the lower position, it is open, so this contact is not connected to this point, so the power supply will be cut inside. So you can see the on and off position of the uh, MCB. So this is the operating principle. So here you can see the contact points during normal operating conditions. The line will be coming inside. So this is the contact point. It will be moving in this direction to the load. But in case of any short circuit or overload, what will happen? This magnetic circuit will get magnetized and it will pull the this contact, so it will get open. Otherwise, the bimetallic strip will melt here. So here this will pull the tripping contact. So once again this will open. So here you can see the detailed working of it. So this is the normal operation. So here power supply is coming. If you move into the top position, to this magnet, the supply is going down. So there is a current flow from input to output. This is responsible for short circuit. When a short circuit is there, it becomes as a magnet and pull this contact down, so it will get open. So this is the switching on and switching off. Once again I repeat, so when you move this on, what will happen immediately? This is the closed path, it will get connected. And there is a short circuit, this will become as a magnet and pull this contact down, so immediately this cam will be coming to the off position. So this is about the MCB working. So we want to see the comparison of a fuse and a MCB. So function, it performs both a detection and interruption function in case of fuse. In circuit, it performs interruption function only. The detection of the fault made by the relay system, that is the magnet. Operation is inherently completely automatic. Here requires like relay and automatic action also is required. Braking capacity is small, low values of current, and here it is very large. Operating time is very small, that is 0.002 seconds. Here it is large. And replacement, it requires frequent replacement, no replacement is required. And easily identify the fault zone. What is the advantages of MCB alone? So easily identify the fault zone of the electrical circuit. So it will be in the top position. If it is in the off position, we can identify the MCB and we can check that sub circuit in the main board or distribution board. But if in case of fuse, we have to take all the fuse this thing out and we have to see which fuse is blown out and we have to replace it with a new one. And simple to resume the supply. Once again, just switching it on. So it is the easy one. Better interface, only knob is there. And electrically safer, we are not going to touch the coils and all. So here it is, the insulating material will be there, more sensitive to current than fuse. As we discussed already, short circuit production and overload production. It is reusable, so we can use it many times. So less maintenance and a replacement of the cost. So where we are using, it is used in home electrical panels. We have, I think we might have already discussed in the service means in the distribution board we are using the MCB, and the ground fault trip mechanism also we are using the MCB. And for lights, for bigger lights, for example, in street lights, the person will be operating the MCB to switch on the sodium vapor lamps, and all the industrial application for switching the motors, heaters, wherever it is, we are using the MCBs. So the next topic is the electric shock. I think this many might have experienced sudden jerk when you're touching the conductor. So it is a sudden agitation of a nervous system of a body due to the passage of electrical current is known as the electric shock. When you touch the electrical circuit, so it should be properly insulated. A body should be properly insulated because you're having the less resistance. So otherwise you will get the electric shock like this. I think you might have experienced somebody beating on your neck. Many cases will be there. So this is the effect of the electric shock. So what are the causes of the electric shock? This is due to the fault in electric wires. It may be given a wrong connection. So this may be the reason for the electric shock. Exposed wires, maybe copper wires may be exposed by knowingly or unknowingly will be touching that. So we will experience electric shock. Next, wet wire. This is very, very important. We should not touch with the wet because it is a good conductor. Then open electric sockets. When you're touching the sockets, it is quite natural. We'll be putting while putting the charges and all. It is will be able to get shock. So, what are the factors affecting the severity of the shock? So, it is nothing but the magnitude of the current. It is not on the voltage, it is based on the magnitude of current passing through the body and path of the current passing through the body. If you put a shoes, you will experience less values of the shock because the current is reduced in it. And time of current, so you might have seen in some movies and also immediately we have to make him disconnected from the supply. So time is also very, very important. And frequency of the current, it is quite natural 50. And physical condition of the person, this is based on the resistance of the particular person. The resistance is high, you can withstand the current, otherwise it is very difficult. So how can we prevent shock? So ground all electrical equipments and workpiece. This is very, very important. I think even CPUs and all you might have had a mild short because it is due to improper earthing. So we can prevent the electrical shock by connecting the source, control cabinets, workpiece to electrical. In grinders also sometimes your mom will tell is coming electrical shock. So we have to put the proper grounding. If it is not grounded properly, then there is a chance of electrical shock. If it is grounded, that compared to your body resistance, that resistance will be low, so it will be easily grounded. The current fault current will be grounded easily. And use proper size of cables. So this is very, very important. If the failure of cable, if the cable melt means what is the reason you're not use the proper size cable. So you will get the electrical shock. And also all the electrical connections should be tight, clean, and dry. So poor connections that may heat and sometimes it will produce shock. And sometimes if it is not clean, also it produces the arc and spark. And it should be kept dry. No water or grease should be accumulated in the plugs and the sockets. If that is the case, you will get shock. Always keep it dry. Moisture is a very good conductor. You should be always dry. So make it, ensure it always dry, and always use the insulated gloves, rubber shoes, or some dry platform while working with high electrical current. And improper connection, this also will give the electrical shock. That is, the connection is not proper, and if you're going to touch it, you will surely get an electrical shock. And also open circuit voltage. When the welders are working with the arc or polarities, you should not touch it. AC machines, the body also should not touch it. So this may also produce an electrical shock. And while switching on or switching off the equipments, you should have proper insulation. That's why we are always referring you to wear shoes while working with the electrical components. So what is the first aid? So this information you should know. So if a person with affected with electrical shock, so carry him and keep him in the comfortable position and call for the doctor. Do not make a crowd or let the patient should breathe the fresh air. Look for the stoppage of breathing. You just check the heartbeat is there or not. Start giving him artificial respiration if the breathing is out. So this is known as the CPR. So we will be giving the CPR. So by this cardiac arrest can be reduced. Don't give anything to drink when the person is unconscious. So as long as he is coming to the normal stage, you can give the water or something. If not, you should not give anything. And artificial respiration can be given. So mouth to mouth artificial respiration can be given to him. This is the best first aid for electrical shock, especially for some time. And you can do the CPR also by means of pumping his heart with your hands. And if any burns are caused, cover with sterile dressing, and then it should be bandaged. So these are all the basic first aid you should follow. So it is not a matter of fun, but you should be a little bit aware of it while a person is affected with the electrical shock. So this is about the protective devices and electric shock in the module 4. Thank you for watching.